I'm Fancy, and this is Murder by Design. Welcome back, guys. So we thank you for tuning in tonight for our Crime of the Month intro and discussion chat. I know it's been a long time since we've been up here, and I promise you we've been working on some pretty epic stuff, and we'll talk about that later. But right now, I want to tell you guys something really exciting, and that is that we have our very own Colleen back, and we are so excited to have her back. I'm going to bring her on right now, and she just had her baby, and she's looking fantastic, and I am so excited to have her back here with you guys. So she'll be back on a regular basis here and there. So, you know, she's got a new baby, so she may not be here as much as she was before, but we're going to get her back here as much as we can. So, hey, Colleen, welcome back.
Thanks. I am glad to be back. Yep, I have a 2-month-old now. It's crazy how fast time is going, and she is wonderful.
I know.
And it's good to be back.
Yeah, YY is 7 months old now. I'm like, oh my god, he's like almost
these babies
walking.
Are growing too fast.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not ready for it. I was not ready for him to start walking and moving and being mobile. I wanted him to lay on my bed for just a little longer and cuddle with me. He still cuddles, but not as much.
Putting the preemie stuff away was hard.
And sit up. I know, yeah, right? Every time we go into a new number, I'm like, oh. He's in size 4 diapers, and I was like, oh my god, I never thought we'd get here. And he's a big boy. Like, my girls never even hit size 4 because they were little, you know, so, but he's a big one. He's a big boy. But his daddy's big, you know, he's a big guy, so.
Yeah.
But he's just as cute as can be. I love him to death. And Katie is adorable, Colleen. Oh my god,
Thanks.
She's so cute. I can't wait to read. You didn't send me pictures of her in the little outfit I sent you. I need to see them.
Oh, will do. Will do.
You forgot, didn't you?
I did.
Alrighty, well, with no further ado,
I keep my house
go
chill,
ahead and
so
let's get into this. Yeah. All right, so let's get into this tonight, Colleen. You want to go ahead and kick us off here since you haven't been back for a while?
So we're going to try to do something new for our Crime of the Month series. So as you can see, this is a taped episode. So from now on, our episodes for Crime of the Month will be pre-recorded, but we're still going to be here for the live chat and to take on any questions you might have. So we really hope there's a new format that you guys enjoy. And just let us know if you have any questions, but we will be here.
We may do one of the lives a month. I think we might do the last episode live. It's just with my new internet situation. I know it's been crazy, guys. That's why we haven't been on. It's been insane. But so the recordings are much easier for us to do, especially with the babies and all of that. So we're here doing that. But trust us, we'll still be around. You'll still be able to catch us live here and there. And we'll definitely be taking down the questions like Colleen said. So the case we're introducing tonight, though, is one that I followed for quite some time. And it's a case that we normally probably see over on Lipstick, Lashes, and Lies, which if you guys haven't checked that out, it's all about love gone wrong. It's really amazing. Stella's been doing a great job. But I think we might be bringing in some fresh faces to work on that as well. It's a love turned deadly case, but this case has too much meat for one episode. So we'll be discussing over the next few weeks of the case. Drum roll, please. Dirty John Meehan. I'm just being silly. I think it's really cool. I love the new.
That's perfect.
I love the new thing that we're using. We're using Riverside FM. So if you are a podcaster or a YouTuber, and I'm not saying this because we get anything from it. I'm sure there is an affiliate program that we'll probably sign up for immediately at some point in time. But honestly, it's been amazing for us because it does this whole thing where it gives us great studio quality, but it doesn't work off your internet connection because it's recording locally to your personal computer, and then it sends you everybody's recordings, and it can actually master it for you. It's incredible. And it has all these cute things like drum rolls and claps. You can do claps too.
It's adorable.
So anyway, guys, let's get into some of the major players in this case.
So John Michael Meehan was a con man and a grifter whose past finally caught up with him in epic proportions. So a little backstory on John. He was born February 3rd of 1959, raised by his father along with his 2 sisters, Donna and Karen. John learned his con man wiliness from his father, who ran Diamond Wheel Casino in San Jose, California. That already sounds like a bad deal. And as John would win...
Grifter.
Yep, grifty, grift. It is. As a child, John would win legal settlements by jumping in front of moving cars and by mixing pieces of glass into food bought at local restaurants. Which, when I was in college, when we'd walk across the sidewalk in the college campus, I'd always be like, please, school bus, hit me. Please pay for my tuition. But I wouldn't actually jump in front of the bus. Like, there's the difference.
Well, it reminds me of, like, there's a movie from, like, the 80s, and it's called Grifters, and it's got John Cusack in it and Angelica Houston, Morticia Adams. And so she plays his mother, and she's the same thing. Like, she gets him as a young kid to grift, and they go on all these cons and everything. And it's hilarious, and it's super great movie. But it totally reminds me of this. And it also reminds me of, like, the movie with Bruce Willis and Josh Hartnett, the Lucky Number 11. I love that movie. It's kind of dark. It's a little dark. It's got Ben Kingsley in it, too. And it reminds me of that exactly. The same kind of thing, because that's what his dad was like. He'd take him to the horse races and do all these things, and it was crazy. So,
well, right. If you get a kid to grift, then you're good, because everyone's going to believe the kid. And that's one of the things.
I think that happened in another case that we're pretty. I think that happened in another case that we've been talking about a lot. I don't know, but
maybe
we've got some information about that coming out soon. Yeah, maybe. Go ahead.
So one of the top things that John learned was that bogus lawsuits and insurance scams are the way to go, according to one of his sisters, Donna Meehan Stewart. So another sister, Karen, told the LA Times, if anybody did anything to John, my dad would tell us, you go there with a stick and take care of it. It's the Brooklyn mentality of you fight, you get even. And that's what John did. And so he attended Prospect High in Saratoga, California. He reportedly began having trouble in school right at the time his parents split up after years of arguing. We see that all the time in cases when parents split up. That's when the teenagers start acting out, and John was already acting out. So it just kind of propelled him further. John began to sell cocaine at his school, which at one point landed him in the slammer. That's a big jump. Just selling cocaine. So then he attended the University of Arizona. He graduated in 1988. Then he went to law school for a short time at the University of Dayton School of Law, but he did not graduate. However, he did earn himself the nickname of Dirty John, in part due to the amount of women he was able to finagle into his bed.
Some other reasons, I guess, too, like from what I understand, it was some of the things that he said about women and how he treated people, and he was always like
trickster,
schemy and trickster and con man
dirty.
And slimy, just a sleazeball. He's dirty. Yep. He's dirty. Yeah.
Yep.
So and I think he really lives up to that. Like, he takes that nickname to heart, man. He really does.
Yeah, he does.
So anyway, but I've watched all the shows on him. I got an opportunity to sit down and talk to the daughter of Deborah, who's going to be a lot of the focus of this, series. And it's just crazy, like the things that he did. His own daughters are, think that he's this kind of gross guy. Like, it's kind of sad, And he was a decent looking guy. He was smart. Like, he had potential. He just didn't want to do it. He didn't want to take the hard route. He wanted to go the easy route and just do whatever he wanted to do,
Well, it is disappointing. I haven't watched any of the stuff on him or listened to anything on him. So I only know basics of this case. I'm learning more, as I research more for this case. But knowing that he was a nurse anesthetist, which is an insanely difficult job, it's a very competitive field. It is advanced education beyond, so I have my master's in nursing. It's 2 degrees beyond that. And for him to throw it away and waste it when he could have made that's the highest paying job a nurse can have, is a nurse anesthetist. And the fact that he threw that away for bullshit blows my mind.
Well, I think he had I think a lot of it had to do with drug problem.
It was drugs.
But then this also goes back to, thinking about the way he was raised. And, this is something we've been talking about in other cases that we deal with, especially the Gypsy Rose Blanchard case, and who Gypsy is today is because of what her mother was like. But there also has to be a certain amount of personal responsibility. Like, what our parents do to us, yes, it affects us. Okay, it does. But everyone who had a shitty childhood doesn't go on to become con men or murderers, Like, if that was the case, then there would probably be hardly any just normal people walking around. We'd all be con men or murderers, because trauma.
Right, we all have issues with our parents.
Regardless. Right. And we even talked about this in, we interviewed the Lauren Derhally, who wrote My Daddy is a Hero, the Chris Watts story. And she talked a lot about the imago relationship theory or whatever. And basically it's that whatever you become as an adult is that there's no way to even, no matter how great a childhood you have, to escape the trauma of childhood. Like, there's always something traumatic, whether you were bullied, your parents were abusive, whatever there is trauma there. It's growing up. It's traumatic. There's never a perfect life. Nobody has this perfect sunshine and roses life. And, nobody just gets out of childhood unscathed. So you take all of those baggages into your relationships as an adult and who you are as an adult. And it's up to you
even
to make the choices to change the behaviors that are unacceptable.
Even if there's not an outright traumatic event or prolonged experience, and say you have, a perfect childhood, you can still grow up and be a shitty person. We know many people who had great, childhoods and have said, I had a great childhood, and they ended up being rapists or murderers. And I think that perfection also can damage. Like, you need some form of, not drama, but, emotion in your childhood growing up. Because if everything's, pristine and perfect, I think you grow up with that sense of entitlement. And then you feel entitled to things.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you take things.
And you begin to take for granted anything that you have or anything that somebody does for you. So, so then you begin to get this mentality, like you said, of where the world is mine and it's owed to me, and, and I don't have to work for it. I just should get it. Well, no, everyone works for the shit that they have. Like, I worked my butt off to get to where I'm at, and I'm still not happy with where I'm at in life. But you know what I do? I get up every morning thinking, well, how do I change that?
Yep.
And that's the thing. I think I see them more and more in these cases. I've noticed, I think that people, and I was talking with, I think who was it that said this, that about differencing levels of sociopathy. Like, everybody has sociopathic tendencies. It's what we feed into them or not. And so when you've got a kid who basically is taught their whole life that rules don't apply to them, then as an adult, they believe the same thing, and that's not how the world works. Rules apply to you as an adult. As a kid, you can get away with things. There was one time as a retail manager, we had a lot of problems with people coming in and stealing from this clothing store I worked with in Arizona. It wasn't in the greatest part of town, but they would cut, and so I worked in the mall that wasn't the greatest mall. I had transferred from another job at a more high retail, higher echelon mall to this other mall. And there was a serious problem, to the point where security guards would just patrol and stand outside of stores that they knew were high, theft. And it was just hard. And so this one time, this whole family came in, and I knew it. They had the big bags. They had little kids with them. They had strollers. I knew it from the second they walked in the store. I had seen them before. I had suspicions before. And what they ended up doing when I approached them as they were leaving my store is the adults ran, and they left the 10-year-old little girl behind holding the bag. Because they thought that, well, she's not going to get prosecuted. That little girl went to JV. Like, good parenting there. Fantastic parenting. Yeah. Same thing with Dee Dee. Like, Dee Dee left Gypsy. The way that Dee Dee brought Gypsy into it and how much Gypsy actually did know now that we found out all of that, like, and the different things that we know now, like, she could have very easily gotten Gypsy,
left Gypsy
in
holding the
massive trouble
bag.
for the fraud. She's lucky she doesn't get prosecuted for it. Yeah. And I think that's
easily.
I really truly believe that's the difference between why Gypsy chose to kill her or not kill her. But it still doesn't make it right. It still doesn't make it the right thing. And there's still issues I have with it, But definitely, again, these kids are, who they are because of who they're raised by and how they're how they're taught. It doesn't mean you can absolve them. Absolutely not, because you don't absolve serial killers, and they mostly have horrible childhoods. You don't absolve, people who do things to children because they had shitty childhoods. We can't do that. But in these cases,
pedophile,
I really
rapists,
believe that you can look back and understand.
Right. Pedophile rapists typically have been molested themselves. Like, pedophile rapists have typically been molested themselves, but we don't absolve them of their crimes of molesting and raping other people and other children because they were in themselves molested. No, it sucks. It's traumatic. It's awful. They need therapy and counseling, but that's where they need the treatment, but they don't get to just be like, okay, I was raped, so I'm not going to be in trouble if I do it to other people. No, you're still responsible.
No, that's not
you have self-control.
Right. Well, getting back to this, though, I mean, we've kind of gone off on a tangent, but I kind of feel like, but this is what we do. We kind of talk about all the different cases that we talk, that we kind of deal with and see how they're relevant to each other. Because for me, I'm always trying to figure out why somebody does something. So if we can take an analysis and look at the cases that we work on in tandem, and looking to see what the patterns are, like, I can see patterns between, and I know you're going to hate me for saying this, but Chris Watson, Scott Peterson, and Christian Longo, and all the ones that are the family annihilators. And I know Colleen thinks he's innocent. She still thinks that. That's fine. I agree that he doesn't deserve the death penalty. We've come to an agreement on that. Okay. But
I will accept.
still,
the
behaviors are there.
Yeah.
And whether Scott did or didn't murder Lacey and Connor doesn't change the fact that he still has these same kind of tendencies that I see in these other guys that did generally take out their families. And when you look at serial killers, you can generally find, similarities between things that happened or that impacted their lives or how they're doing what they're doing, And the mind is just an incredible, weird, strange piece of our body. And it's fascinating to me, and I'm always trying to figure it out, But let's get back to the show here and talk about the next person that's, we talked about John. Well, the next person we're going to talk about a lot. Now, we will go back into John's, early life, his, childhood, his family, his first wife, his children. We'll talk about all of that. But the other main character in this actual case is Deborah Newell. And she met John Meehan on an internet dating site for older people. And she was so impressed with his charm and charisma that she thought maybe after four failed marriages, she might have found the one. He was the one, but not what she had. So Deborah was a highly successful interior designer, mom of 4 grown children. The whirlwind relationship between Deborah and John didn't sit well with her children, go figure. And they warned their mom over and over about their misgivings, but it just made her dig her heels in even more. But less than a year after it all started, it would be over. And someone would end up dead in the end. But who? I like Deborah. I think she's a smart cookie. I thought she was, but I do think that he talked a good game. He had good game. He was a smart guy. He wasn't just a common criminal. He was intelligent,
He knew exactly what to say. He, had done this many times before. He was, even though he was older now, he was still going for, women who, it was an over 50s dating site. So obviously they are looking for love, maybe a little desperate, gonna look past some other things. And, they're not looking for that, dating for several years before getting together. They're looking to settle down. Hence, Deborah having 4 failed marriages.
Yeah.
So John's saying all the right things and, seeming respectable, claiming he was a doctor, that he was in the military, just really.
But I don't know. I'm sorry. If it had been me, that first date would have been would have been red flags all over the place, and I would have bailed out. And we'll talk about that first date in our next episode.
So next week, we're going to dive into the timeline of events, take you all the way back to John's past before meeting Deborah, and you'll hear how this con man started and what ultimately led to a fatal day in August of 2015.
So, all right, folks, well, we've got a few things to share tonight, so don't go anywhere just yet. First off, we are excited to announce our brand new merchandise lines that are out on our website, madgingerentertainment.com. I'm wearing our Lipstick, Lashes, and Lies makeup right now, so all of this is Lipstick, Lashes, and Lies. We have a full line of makeup. The girls are going to be bringing it out and doing a lot of cool stuff with it. I think Emily is going to do a makeup and mayhem where she does her makeup while talking about a case. It's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm so excited. But we've got our coffee, our wine. We're going to be introducing a line of tea for Ty. We've got all of our merchandise that has, our shirts and all of that cool stuff. And with Ty's cooking show about serial killers and mine and Colleen's serial killers around the world, we are going to be introducing a whole lot of new things. So you guys are going to check out that merch store all the time because we're always going to be introducing new stuff. So, and then, so we recently had our Cocktails and Criminals event. It was an all virtual event. It was the first event we've ever done. We were really excited about it, had a great time. And we partnered up with Crime Door. If you guys have not checked out Crime Door yet, it is incredible. And I tell you, you need to go do it, okay? It gives you 3D interactive and immersive looks at crime scenes. So that's exciting, right? So we've partnered with them, and they'll probably be at some of our next events because we're going to go ahead and continue on doing these Cocktails and Criminals. But now that the country has started to open back up, we're going to offer a live in-person component as well as a virtual component. So wherever you are, you'll be able to check out our events. They are paid events. They are charity-based, so a portion of all sales of merchandise, ticket sales, whatever, go to several of the different charities that we work with our professionals, a lot to cold case research, some to DNA genealogy, so that that's also cold case, but it's a little different. We're just really trying to do other things, and obviously our bread and butter, because we did start with Jeff C, so we do always try to give back to the charity, and I never get their name right. It's always wrong, so I won't say the name of the charity, but we give back to them, and basically it's for the prevention of most just regular child abuse, but they do focus a lot on medical child abuse, which would be either Munchausen by proxy, or if you want to call it factitious disorder imposed upon another, or just what I think, sociopath. I just think they're sociopaths. I don't think it needs a special name. I think it's just sociopathy, and they're freaking child abusers, and they're sociopaths, and that's all it needs to be. That's my personal opinion. After the things that I've researched and found out about the Blanchard case, I'm telling you, I lean more towards sociopathy than anything else, So, and something I learned about that, just fun fact, and I've talked about this a couple of times now, but is that, did you know that it's not one disorder? That's why it's not classified as a disorder in the DSM-5, because it's actually a conglomeration of disorders that come together to create this thing. So I just think that that's really interesting. It's not just one thing. But anyway, so we've been doing that, and we're going to have more of those events where you get to come in and we basically bring a professional who brings a murder book. You get to look all through the murder book. It's usually a cold case. You get to try and solve the case. So we've got all kinds of cool stuff coming. And we are actually working on hosting our own crime convention. I'm hoping for October. It might be later. But check back, guys, because you want to hear about these things. We're partnering with amazing people, Jude A. Yates and Kirk Nurmi and Todd Matthews and Stephen David Lampley. So all the guests that we have on here all the time, and maybe some new faces. Thank you so much for tuning in and dishing true crime with the Good Wives and Murder by Design.
Don't forget to join our Patreon member club to get exclusive mini episodes, inside documents and pictures from the case, live YouTube discussions, our exclusive discussion group on Facebook, and get some amazing Good Wives merch. And follow us on Twitter and Instagram at True Crime Wives.
And for more inside information, check out our podcast, The Good Wives Guide to True Crime, on any of your favorite podcast players. Have a good one from The Good Wives, serving up true crime one dish at a time.